Okay, this week, of course, I'm going to show you what I've done with some of the things John sent in the package that I opened last week. I hope you like it. I'm not even sure where to start. Well, how about I start with the dolls John didn't paint? Kitty cat? Casey cat? Sorry. Anyway. This is the Laelia doll. Of course, I'm sure she's a Chinese fashion doll, and I'm sure Laelia is pronounced properly, nothing like I'm saying it, because all I know about Chinese is that I don't know how to pronounce it. So, this is her completely stock face and original hair. And I put her on a Disney Store articulated body with knee articulation. And I did the standard grinding out the pelvis so her legs don't splay too much when she sits. And I also use my plastic sprue cutters to nip the neck peg connector part a bit because it was this really broad flat disc that would not fit inside this head. So I cut it down to be a little closer to Barbie neck connector disc size, and so here she is. I think I showed you this shirt when I made it a few videos ago. Vintage Barbie skirt with lint on it because everything in here has either lint or cat hair, and there's some cat hair. Of course, the ubiquitous made to move Barbie leggings and some Barbie flats. Not sure where I'm going to put all these after I talk about them either. Alright, the other doll who John didn't paint, I added a touch of paint to the face of this doll, the Gem Era Barbie, yes cat, Gem Era Barbie style clone, Hong Kong type clone. I added some paint to her eyes to make them side glance, which is another suggestion from John, and I also painted over the original light reflection dots, which were in very different parts of the eye, and so added new ones of those to even her up. And the body she is on is an Ever After High. I think it was the body, the Cupid, that I thrifted. And also, using John's ideas, I melted some hard plastic from bodies, and I think I used a little bit of old Volks sprue. Melted that in some acetone in a little jar. Keep it very airtight when I'm not using it. And I think when John does this, he just melts the plastic enough that it becomes malleable and applies that and works with it. But this, I put enough acetone into it and let it sit for a long time that everything completely thoroughly melted. And it was about, I've been trying to think of what the texture's like, and like maybe really thick wall paint, maybe a little bit thicker than that. I couldn't quite place what the texture reminded me of, but it's very, very thin and definitely a liquid. And I'm seeing the lint fly around the room. Sorry. Anyway, so I built up in several layers around the neck to make it more a Barbie-sized neck. And I did sand it. It's not perfectly sanded. I do have pictures of all of these dolls on my Flickr, and you can see in the close-up pictures of her that it needs to be sanded some more, especially where the clavicle and everything were, because it's still a little bit shiny. But overall, I'm very happy with this method of altering necks to make them more suitable for smaller heads than the large Monster High or Ever After High heads, which kind of obscure the odd neck shape they have. I did go ahead with a few the other Ever After High body and Monster High body that I had on hand, and I went ahead and applied the acetone goop to them, but I have not sanded them yet. I don't know if you can see the way it's sort of, when it dries, it wrinkles, which looks a little like muscle. So definitely need to sand these, and then maybe I can find heads for these that are more suitable to a Barbie-sized neck, but a smaller sized body. Alright, who's next? We'll do the dolls that Jawn painted and sent the whole doll. Here's the Studio Killers Cherry inspired Monster High Frankie. And she is wearing a Barbie dress. Of course, this is not how it is intended to fit. It's really supposed to have this kind of low cut top with the ruffle for the shoulder straps, and the hips, of course, obviously fit perfectly in this Barbie size, and the bust, it's a little over the bust. So I improvised and I made it into a neck ruff, and here she is. Again, pictures are on my Flickr. And then the Twyla and Howleen customs he did. I did put a layer of satin sealer on their eyes because I do like the depth that sealer gives to paint. And Jawn said the only reason he hadn't done it is because it makes them harder to photograph when the eyes this big are that glossy, and it does, but that doesn't stop me from doing it. And let's see, Howleen is wearing a dress I made ages ago for Bratz. And her bracelet is the core from a dental floss roll. I actually open up dental floss rolls and steal a lot of the cores for doll bracelets. Some of them are small and only fit Monster High. A lot of them are large enough to fit around a Barbie wrist. The leggings are from a Cutie Pops I thrifted once upon a time. I made these socks, and these boots are from that Mimi Woo order I showed you a few weeks ago. And yes, these are flat foot boots, and yes, she is a high heel Monster High body, and this is, I finally used the tip that someone gave me ages ago to cut a earplug in half. And I only did this because I found some earplugs in a box I was going through. Package sealed earplugs, not used earplugs. And cut it in half, and that can pad out the area under the heel so the boots go on to form a nice flat surface that won't ride up or move. So that's Howleen. And Twyla is, I know the character of Twyla is fairly shy and retiring, and at first glance you would think this doll is shy and retiring. I don't think she is. I'm not sure if I'm brave enough to try to alter Jawn's paint in any way at all to make her look a little snarkier, because if there's one thing I like, it's a snarky doll. It's just a strip of knit cloth. The sweater is from Love to Knit Doll Clothes on Etsy, and I have a lot of sweaters, cardigans from that seller. I made the dress, I made the tights, and the shoes, again, does not fit the angle of the Monster High high heel foot, but they go over it well enough to conceal. And I got these years ago from Paradise Publications Crochet Supply, and they do still have vaguely Victorian style doll shoes there. I don't think they have sedate colors anymore. I think they tend to have a little more neon, like orange and green and purple last time I looked, which someday I might order them. I've had these shoes for a long time and I like them. So there's Howleen and Twyla. And the other set, at least I believe there's a set he sent, were the Steffi and Ken/Ryan heads with the Makoto Takahashi vintage shoujo style. I know it's not shouju, it's shoujo. And forgive my pronunciation. Again, really what I know about Japanese is that I don't know how to say it. Anyway, have these two. And she just went straight on a fashionista body. Of course, good skin tone match and proportions and everything are right because Barbie. He went on the sun's out again. on the the cheerleader Ken body that I found in Tuesday morning, when those were out in Tuesday morning. Forgive me, I know I'm babbling. My mind is racing about all these dolls. And this body had been being used by a different male head, which it did not match. The skin tone, the body and the head didn't match at all. So I knew I wanted to give this head to this body. So when I took the head off the other body, I realized that it would match the Disney Descendants 2-pack Ben doll that I got from that salvage store a few weeks ago, and I showed you in a video. So this guy got this body, and because I wanted him to be definitely Barbie and Ken bodies together. So there they are. Again, this sweater is from Ankarad Feed on Etsy, and this is one of her more plain sweaters. She does really nice cable knit sweaters for fashion dolls in really good scale. And I made the dress and I made the tights, and he is wearing an old action figure jacket, coat, and the One Modern Circle Ken turtleneck shirt and pants I made. And for trivia's sake, these shoes are from the Matrix Neo action figure boots that I cut down to make look a little more like shoes ages ago, because as far as boots went, they were almost impossible to get off the body without destroying, so salvaged what I could, and now we have some monk strap shoes. And I'm babbling, aren't I? And then we have that other $5 Barbie style Grace body that I'd found on clearance is what the repainted Made to Move Asha head he sent went to. And it should have been a straightforward head swap, but when I took the head off of this body, the head took the neck connector with it, but not in the usual way. Usually when the heads pull the neck connectors out with them, they break that pin that goes through the inside of the neck to hold the neck connector in place. But not this one. This one, the neck connector itself, the loop, the plastic, broke. So that left the pin in place. So I did have spare neck connectors. I made a cut in one side to make it sort of a C shape and hooked that around. So it's not, if I pulled really hard, I could probably pull the neck connector out of the body again without breaking the pin that holds it in place. But for now, she's good. So this was fairly straightforward. Even more straightforward was putting this other Ken head that he painted on the Ever After High Hunter body, which I had earmarked this body for the vintage Allens I have to swap his head onto it, because that's what John and Chris have done with their Allen armies, is a lot of Allen heads on the Hunter body, and it is a good fit. But since Allen has a body right now, his original vintage body, I decided I would go ahead and use this body for this head. It's not a perfect match on the neck. You can see it doesn't really line up, but it's kind of hard to be picky when it comes to thrifting articulated male doll bodies. So here we go. I made his pants because I really don't have a lot of pants that will fit a smaller male body. So I made his pants specifically for him. The shirt I made a while ago. I think I showed it to you. It was about the same time I made that. Let's see if I can do this without getting there. Yeah, somebody fell. About this is the same time I made this shirt. Just I was using up random little bits of cloth. And this is another Love to Knit doll clothes cardigan. Of course, I'm in no way being compensated. She probably doesn't even know about this YouTube stuff. And old shoes, old action figure shoes from a while ago. Oh, and the glasses are Kotobukiya photo etched glasses. Again, also from a while ago. It's making me feel like an old doll hobby person. But I think he is very cute. All the dolls John painted are very cute, but this one is, I think he suits the younger body, even if the head is a little bit of an odd size match for it. So there's him. And that is all of the officially finished John dolls. Now the guy whose head had been on this body, cat, is also actually a doll that Jawn painted, and he says is like 9 years ago he painted this guy. So the technique is a little different, but the style is pretty much definitely Jawn's style. And so this is the Disney Descendants Ben body. And it is a great color match for this head. And I think size-wise it suits... Hello, Casey! Suits him pretty well, too. Yes, rub. The shoes are a little big. These are, again, are also the cheerleader Ken shoes. That ribbon alone. What are you doing, Kate? Anyway, his pants were not expressly made for him. These are actually jeans that I made for my Bandai Sakurana doll. So she is somewhere between fashion doll and action figure in size and style. So she is a little bit, just a little bit larger than Barbie. And so these pants have a little bit more room in the hips than this guy needs, but mostly for wanting to be lazy and not have to sew a bunch of new clothes for these dolls. And they fit them pretty well. The shirt is from an old weird line of action figures that were sort of urban vinyl look and very, very stylized, and some of them not even human, that were actually available in Walmart about 12 or 13, 14 years ago, maybe not quite that long. So it had little short sleeves that don't fit most actual Ken-sized dolls, but it fit his little short arms pretty well. So, and Jawn said that he painted this head so long ago that this is what people were wearing. So, so I don't feel too bad about him being in slightly out-of-date clothes. Eventually, I'm sure I will get around to making more modern clothes for him, but for now, I'm just glad that he has clothes. And then when I got into that Disney Descendants 2-pack box specifically for the guy body, I realized that the Mal, the female body in there, was just the right kind of slightly pink, very pale skin tone to match the Mattel High Height Puffy AmiYumi heads that I had, which they usually sit here. They have been on live bodies that were just a little bit too peach and also a little bit too big, I think, to work for the heads. If you know anything about the Mattel High Height Puffy AmiYumi dolls, Puffy AmiYumi, me mangling Japanese again, I'm sorry. They were not Barbie. They weren't even vaguely Barbie in bodies. They had these odd little bodies with the legs were mostly rubbery, like the normal rubber click leg Barbie, click knee Barbies. But instead of having click knees, there was this gap in the rubber around the knee joint. So you just saw the knee hinge, so they could bend their knees a lot, but it was just odd. And then the bodies themselves were also electronic sigging bodies, and you put their hands together, either together or made contact with your hand, and that finished the circuit, and they started singing. And thanks to AmiMoon for sending me these. I'd had some ages ago and cycled through them, as I tend to do with dolls. So, and a big box of stuff I got from AmiMoon a while ago, she'd sent these dolls back, and I discarded the bodies and ground the necks out to make them fit on the live bodies and lived with them as they were for a while. But now I saw that, like I said, back to where I was. You know I meander, right? I realized that the skin tone match would be perfect with that Disney Descendants Mal body. And as you can see, it is. But of course, there are two Hi Puffy AmiYumi characters. So I went back to the salvage store where I got that 2-pack of dolls for $15. And I bought another one. So, and yes, I know the crowns go on male doll heads, and I put them on the female doll heads to be funny. So now my Hi Puffy AmiYumi dolls have decent bodies that match. And so I can think again in the future about rerouting them and possibly repainting them, because as I've discussed, I'm ambivalent about celebrity dolls, and they do look like Puffy, Ami and Yumi. I know they're called Puffy in Japan, but they couldn't be called Puffy here because there was already a rapper called Puffy. And I see I need to work on getting her head down farther on her neck. Maybe. Yeah, the Disney Descendants have slightly odd necks, but it's not quite as stylized as Mattel's big-headed, skinny-necked dolls. So anyway, and they're still in the Disney Descendants Mal outfit because I just thought that was funny. So those are finished dolls, either directly from or directly inspired by what John sent. And now I have the other dolls. Like I put the Goddess Sculpt tall fashionista head on a just regular old fashionista body, articulated fashionista body. And I will probably repaint her eventually. Part of me wants to reroot her because blonde hair is not my thing, but this is decent hair. It's a nice style. So we'll see. That's the project for the future. And also the Fairytopia Mermaid head is on a live body. The match is not great, and things are a little bit heavy and wiggly, so once I get around to actually repainting her, if I do repaint her, I will work on shoring up that neck so the head's not so floppy. Same with the Fairytopia Mermaid head that I thrifted that day. Also floppy, also on a live body. And this one is pretty much destined for a repaint, and to use a magic eraser to get this scuffs off her cheek. So these two will be in the project pile for a while, probably. And then that's M&C Toy Steffi, not Steffi Love. Well, Steffi Love used this sculpt too, briefly, but this is marked M&C in the back, so it's the M&C Toys Betty Teen head. Got, with her very rosy, orangey skin tone, got an old style gymnast Barbie body that I have heat shaped the fingers on to make the hands a little more graceful. I also tried carving the feet down on this one, which I've done it before to more or less success. These I think I gave up on carving. They could be done better, but now there's also, we realize the possibility with that acetone goop that you could maybe cut off a fairly severe amount and then build up and actually work this into being a normal high-heeled Barbie foot. That might be a little more work than I want to put into it, since I do have some cute shoes that fit these feet. And again, I probably will reroot her. I don't know if I will repaint her. I'm kind of like the idea of repainting a Betty Teen, just because most people who have Betty Teens love them as they are. So I would be that horrible, horrible person who ruined one. But on the other hand, there is some charm to original paint. So that's the Betty Teen. And then since I was also going through, when trying to put the remaining heads away and going through my old head box and playing with things, this is the, was it Miss Flair? I know I looked her up and had her name when I found her in the thrift store a month or so ago. But anyway, she got this live body. Her head, I can't tell, the head Does it seem like the head might be a little small for this body to you? Because I'm wondering, no, I can't find them. My big mess of bodies down here. If she might be better suited to one of these bodies. Since it is smaller, like her head is smaller. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I want to give her new hair also. I'll probably keep her face paint, although there's a big splotch of pink by her nose that I would get rid of. And her blush is very uneven, and there's a spot of blue on her chin too. But there is charm to properly done old Hong Kong style doll paint. But she originally had curly hair and this fiber. I'm not sure if I will straighten it and recurl it to the best of my abilities, or if I will just give her a reroot and maybe either fill in the sides or flock the sides. And of course the head is just, since it's supposed to go on one of those spherical necks, I'm pretty sure Betty Teen's like that too. Yeah. But we can make it work. If you're willing to experiment, you can make any doll part work with any other doll part. Sometimes it requires a Dremel. Sometimes it requires, or helped by somebody figuring out that you could melt the torso plastic in acetone and build it back up again. And sunlit kitty butt in my video. But there's still a lot to do, not just with the dolls that I have to customize. There's also the box full of heads that can work with. I still have a lot of bodies, and of course I have my airbrush and paint, so even if a head doesn't match a body, I can either paint the body to match, or I can paint the body and head to be something completely fantastic. I do have a painted body waiting in the wings to work on eventually, but she's at the stage where she needs a reroot. Not my favorite thing to do, but so I can have something to show you that might get me more inspired to work on it. And I feel like this went by kind of fast, so I was probably talking so fast that you couldn't understand a word I said. Ask questions if you need me to clarify something, and thank you for watching. So, yeah. The shelves are they're getting a little crowded. I'm probably going to do that video where I show you all my dolls soon, just so I can then rearrange the shelves and maybe put some of these dolls into storage or find new homes for them. Because I don't think anybody else is going to fit. And I still have, you know, a few dolls to work on customizing. So,